You are listening to the Retina UK online Belfast local peer support group meeting recorded Tuesday, 5th of April 2022.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending. This is our very first Belfast local peer support group for Retina UK. It's the first one that we have in Northern Ireland. And I'm very pleased to, first of all, introduce Kim Lamb, our group facilitator for the Belfast meetings. And she will be assisting me as the information and support coordinator. My name is Mark Baxter. With future meetings and speakers and venues for when we return to face-to-face meetings later on in the year. We also have joining us this evening, we have Emma Brown from Guide Dogs Scotland and Northern Ireland, talking about the services that are available to those living in Northern Ireland. And we also have Debbie Shaw speaking about her experience with a guide dog, Friz. If anybody's got any questions, we'll do a Q&A session after. But while Debbie and Emma are speaking, would it be possible to keep your microphones muted so we don't pick up any background noise or anything? So I will pass over to Emma and we can get the meeting underway. Thank you very much. Oh, before we do, does anybody want to just to introduce themselves before we start?
Yeah, hi, my name is Andrea. I am also a guide dog owner to a guide dog called Debbie. And she's nearly 9. She's a retriever cross lab. I live with my partner who also has a guide dog called Morris, and her name is Diane. I have no sight at all. And I actually have prosthetic eyes because I had what they call retinoblastoma. So that was a form of cancer. So they had to remove both eyes to remove the tumors from behind them. So yeah, apparently retinoblastoma is used to be, very rarely people would survive from it. So so I think technology has really improved since then because I got mine done in the 80s. So yeah, that's pretty much me. So yeah, I'm happy to talk a bit about.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to say their name?
Okay, well, I'll kick in. Jack Hadner from Bangor. I've got idiopathic optic neuropathy, which I've had now for 17 years. And it actually happened actually, I flew from Johannesburg to London, flight's 10 hours, 40 minutes. And the following day I was blind in my right eye. No really established cause. They thought it might have been the drop in cabin pressure or change in oxygen levels. I was told at the time it would never happen to my left eye, but unfortunately it did. However, I have retained a little bit of sight in my left eye. So that's my story in brief. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'm Kim Lamb, and I'm in Carrickfergus, and I have retinitis pigmentosa.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Okay, I'll jump in. I'm Debbie. I'm from Randallstown, out in the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I was born with albinism. I have always had very, very poor sight. I actually call it the shaky eye syndrome. My eyes are very light sensitive. I have no pigmentation in my skin. My hair would be naturally white, although I have dyed it due to being bullied quite a bit when I was young because of the colour. My eyes sometimes can look like a reddy pinky colour because of the lack of pigmentation. And I also have a 5-year-old lab retriever Madam Friz. Who's sleeping?
Madam.
I introduce myself. Hiya, I'm Cecilia and I'm from West Belfast and I'm deaf and registered blind.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Brian and I'm partially sighted due to Stargardt syndrome.
Thank you very much, Brian. And I'll go. My name is Mark Baxter, and I have, although I'm a staff member at Retina UK, I also have retinitis pigmentosa. I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old, and I've lost the vision in my right eye now, but still have some remaining vision in my left one, but I've got no peripheral vision and no night vision. So, yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I will now pass over to Emma Brown from Guide Dogs, who will talk about some of the services that Guide Dogs can offer the VI community in Northern Ireland. Thanks very much, Emma.
Hi everyone, I'll just introduce myself as well. So I'm Emma. I am jumping on the Labrador Retriever bandwagon as well. So I've got a rehomed guide dog. She's a yellow lab cross retriever. So yeah, popular breed for us at Guide Dogs. I actually am based over in North Ayrshire in Scotland, so I'm across the water at the moment, and I work for Guide Dogs, and only just in March I've started covering Northern Ireland as well. So my job for the last year has been operating in Scotland, so I'm just kind of re-familiarising myself with all my Northern Ireland geography. Debbie, I really like the name of your town. What was it called?
Randallstown.
Randallstown, that sounds lovely. I just have this image of this very lovely little town.
It is nice.
Good. So yes, I'm here today just to chat to you a wee bit about Guide Dogs and what's going on with us. I think Mark might be able to kind of send around some information after potentially. So if there's like a phone number and things, if anyone needs to get in touch, we'll be able to share that with you. So you don't need to worry about taking a note of it. So Guide Dogs as a charity has been around in the UK for over 90 years now. And over those 90 years, we've really developed our services. So when we first started out, it was very much providing guide dogs to people who were blind. And that was what we did. And of course, we do still do that now, but we also work with a whole range of people. So we work with children now as well as adults. And we work with people who are partially sighted as well as blind. Actually, a lot of the people we work with still have some residual vision. So yeah, so really kind of diversified so we can help more people and not be so restricted in the services that we offer. I'll chat through some of the services we have for adults, and then I'll just mention the ones we have for children too, because they're worth knowing about in case you bump into anyone that could benefit from them. So the Guide Dog service is obviously the one that jumps out when you think of us as an organisation. I'll not go into too much detail because I know Debbie's going to give a lovely talk about her experiences with her guide dog. No pressure, Debbie. So I'll save the good stuff for her. But just the kind of basics. A guide dog's there as a mobility aid, so an alternative to a long cane, and the dog is basically looking out for obstacles and avoiding the obstacles on your behalf. So with the cane, where perhaps you would hit an obstacle and then move around it, the dog would see these obstacles in front of you and steer you clear of them. So it's aiming to work in the middle of the pavement and take you smoothly up the pavement, avoiding everything along the way, so whether that's people or prams and post boxes and street cafe furniture, all these obstacles that are in the road when you're trying to get from A to B. And the other thing that the guide dog can do when it gets to a curb, so if you're coming up to a road junction, the dog will stop and sit at the curb so that you don't overshoot and kind of end up on the road when you're meaning to be. And things like stairs, so if there's a flight of stairs going up and down, the dog would stop at the top and bottom of them as well to alert you to that. There's also quite a few things the dog can find. So you might say to the dog to find the chair. If you were in a waiting area or on the bus and you're looking for an empty seat, or to find the door if you're looking for the entrance or exit in and out of somewhere. So quite a lot of words, and I'm sure Debbie will probably give us more examples of how they're used in practice later on. People that could apply for a guide dog. So you don't need to be completely blind to apply for a guide dog. So blind or partially sighted, but also you don't need to be registered either. So we know a lot of people don't want to register. It's more if someone's got a visual impairment and they're having difficulty getting out and about because of their sight loss, then we could assess them for a guide dog. And there's no age limits. So a lot of older people have said to me in the past they think they're too old to apply for a guide dog. But as long as the person's fit enough to look after the dog and fit enough to work the dog, then we can assess them. And equally, there's no lower age limits either. So technically, teenagers and younger people could apply for a guide dog if it was the right thing for them. It is quite a big, it's a big commitment. The training's quite intense, which I'm sure Debbie will mention. So it's a big thing to commit to having a guide dog. So it's definitely got to be the right thing for the person at the time. With things like costs, we could support the guide dog owner. So we wouldn't want people to feel they couldn't apply for a guide dog because they felt like they couldn't afford it. We're very lucky to have volunteers who fundraise for guide dogs. They do some fantastic things. I'm sure you'll potentially come across them around Northern Ireland they might do like bucket collections in places or run events, tea parties, that sort of thing. And then some people will get sponsored to do crazy things like jump out of planes and different things. So we're lucky to have some great supporters at Guide Dogs so that we can provide these services and help people. Yes, so other criteria for applying for a guide dog, we really look for people who are able to walk about 40 minutes a day, and that or a mile if you want to go with distance. So that the dog's getting enough exercise in the day, and also somebody that would commit to doing that at least 5 days a week. So the dog can get enough exercise, and also so that the dog's using its skills and it's not kind of being left for periods at a time where it's maybe got a chance to kind of forget and the skills get a bit rusty. So being used regularly as well. So we do offer other services for adults that don't involve dogs at all, which I think sometimes people don't know about. So we have volunteers who can help people with sight loss get out and about, and we call them My Sighted Guide volunteers. And we would recruit them and train them. We do reference checks and we get kind of background checks on them as well. Give them a training course in how to guide people. They do safeguarding training as well. So they've gone through quite a process before they get matched up with somebody. And the idea is they would be partnered up with someone who's just looking for a wee bit of help to get out and about. And it's often people who do have help, so maybe someone that's out a lot with their family and friends, but it's just nice to have somebody a bit separate that you could go out with and do something else. So usually meeting once a week for a couple of hours. Could be a whole range of things that the partnership do. Some people have very specific interests, like we've got a couple that go and do bowls together. One couple I know that just really enjoy going down the beach for a walk and getting out more into like country parks and things like that. Or it might be kind of going for a walk down the high street and just kind of having a wee browse at the shops and things as well. So a whole range of things depending on what the person really wants to do. So because the My Sighted Guide service does rely on volunteers, it's a kind of balancing act to make sure we don't want too many people sitting on our waiting list to use the service, and then we equally don't want lots of volunteers piling up with nobody to pair them up with. So if somebody applies for a guide volunteer and we don't have one, we would try and recruit a volunteer in that local area so that they don't have too far to travel to get to you as well. So sometimes there can be a bit of a wait for your My Sighted Guide volunteer, just depending if there's one available in the area or not. The other thing we can do with regards to sighted guiding is there's various different courses that are on that can teach people how to guide. So if you've got a friend or family member that you go out with quite a lot and you feel they need a wee refresher maybe on their skills, or they want to do a wee bit of training just to help their confidence, then our staff at the Belfast office sometimes run courses that they could come along to, or even come along to a virtual one that they could do from home, just to get some wee tips on how to guide. We've also got some videos on our website that kind of break it down. So lots of really short videos that are maybe just a few minutes each, showing people how they would guide in different situations. So it might be like going through doorways or going up and down stairs, or helping somebody in and out a car. They're all broken down into wee chunks. So they're quite handy if, you know, if somebody's just looking for some tips on how best to guide. They're available on the website. The other thing that we've quite recently developed on our website, so this might be news to even, you know, some of you there that have guide dogs and know all this information. We, over COVID, when it first hit, we started adding a bit more content to our website to try and help people at home. And it's around just general daily living skills. So we've got different pages on our website about cooking and preparing food and chopping vegetables. We've got things like personal care, makeup, shaving, and it's a wee web page for each topic, and it might have an audio described video, or just some tips, and it's ideas on just how to manage things at home, things like organising your cupboards to distinguish where you're, you know, what clothes are where and what shoes are where, organisation tips. So some people might find them quite useful. They might be nice for people who are quite new to sight loss and maybe just looking, you know, a lot of these things you might have picked up if you've had your eye condition for quite a long time. You've maybe worked these things out yourself, or a friend's told you that this is a good idea to do that. But for someone who is quite newly diagnosed and maybe hasn't got a lot of friends with a visual impairment, then our web pages might be able to give them a wee bit of advice and some steps to get started with managing things at home. So that's the kind of newer content we've got. We just released a video last weekend on the Guide Dogs UK Facebook page, and it was a video of a food blogger chatting away to a girl with a visual impairment, and they were making pizza in a kitchen. And it's quite a light video. It's they're just chatting about making the pizza, and the girl with sight loss chatting about how she would do all the different steps and the types of things that would help her in the kitchen. So it's very easygoing and relaxed video. So that's our adult services, but like I mentioned, we do also support children with a visual impairment, and that starts from children from birth. So we're lucky at Guide Dogs that we've got a lot of children's specialist workers, and we call them habilitation specialists. And they're trained to teach children with a visual impairment how to orientate themselves and navigate around the world, kind of like the child's version of a rehab worker that might have taught people the long cane. So these habilitation workers are specifically for children. And we have different services for children, like play sessions for toddlers. So we've got play sessions for kids aged 0 to 4 with a visual impairment, and they're running in blocks. And it's really, it's just play, but with the aim of developing the skill set that children with a visual impairment might struggle to develop. So things like coordination and proprioception and balance. So really just trying to pull out all these skills, but in a really fun way of play and sensory stories and songs. And it's in a nice group environment. So there's other children there, and there's other parents there that the parents can chat to as well. So quite a nice wee programme that we have there. And we also run that virtually for people that are maybe a bit more remote. So if they don't want to travel to the sessions, they've got the option to join something like this, like a Zoom call, but they would be a leader on it, doing all the sensory games and songs and things. We also support children with technology and sensory play equipment. So we offer grants to help families fund things like that, because we know some technology can be very expensive, and it's maybe not everyone can afford to buy what they need to help them be independent at home. So we've got a grants application process, and families could apply if they need financial support with things like that at home. And we also last year ran a wee pilot where we were able to give out iPads and iPhones to children with sight loss, and that was really successful. So fingers crossed we might get some approval to do that again this year. We have custom-made large print books for children and young people with sight loss, so that actually goes up to the age of 25. And this is where we could take any title of any book that's out there and convert it into the right format to suit the person. So whether it's a specific font size that the child needs, or spacing between the lines, or coloured paper that it needs to be on, the family would tell us exactly what they need, and we'll turn the book. So it's all the same words, the same story, but we put it in the right format for the child. And we do charge for that, but it's the same price that the book is sold for in the shops. So it's the RRP price on the back of the book that the family would pay. So families can sign up for individual memberships, and then you can see all the titles we do have in our library they could buy. And we also have professional members as well. So some libraries might sign up, or some schools where they've got a number of children with visual impairment might sign up for kind of professional membership that way. So quite a range of services, some dogs, some not. Our dog service for children is called buddy dogs. And these are dogs who we have bred and trained with the aim of them becoming guide dogs. And then for one reason or another, the dog's just not quite made it to the standard that we need them to be a guide dog. But it's usually very minor things, and they're still a very well-behaved dog and a well-trained dog that they could make a very nice pet for someone. So in that case, we would try and rehome the dog with a family where there's a child with a visual impairment, so that the dog's still making use of all its training. It is there as a pet dog, so it's not there to guide the child. It is just a pet, but it's a nice, well-behaved pet. It's less likely to be jumping up. I think it's a nice thing if the family was looking for a dog anyway. They've missed that kind of puppy phase where they don't need to toilet train or put up with a puppy that's teething and kind of bitey around children. So they get this dog that's maybe about 2 or 3 years old, and it's trained, and it just kind of slots right into the family quite easily. And they also get the support from our staff as well. So a nice service if there's a family looking for a dog for a child with a visual impairment. So that's probably our whirlwind tour of our services. If anyone was kind of interested in a service or more information, we have a general phone line at Guide Dogs, and it's a UK sort of call line. It's called Guideline, and there's a phone number on our website, but maybe Mark will be able to share it in a sort of follow-up email afterwards. Or there's also an email address you can sort of email for information. And there's a wee form on our website as well that you can pop your details in, and someone from the phone line will phone you at the time that you suggest. So that's really us for now. Guide Dogs Northern Ireland do have social media channels. So if any of you are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these sort of things, you can follow them. The guy Mark who does our social media is great, and he's always got really interesting and different stories that he pops up on social media. So it's quite a nice thing. But I think I'm handing you over to Debbie now, and then maybe after Debbie we can do a wee Q&A if anyone's got anything they want to ask. But over to you, Debbie.
Okay, no pressure. I think Friz has probably been on the social media quite a few times. Just a wee bit of background information about myself. I was born, as I say, with albinism. I never thought of myself any different from anybody else. I went to a mainstream primary school. Now, it was quite difficult because of not being able to see the blackboard, where I would have to run up to the blackboard, memorize a few words, and run back to my seat and write them down and go back and forward continually. And some days I went home literally exhausted. Sometimes I wouldn't even have had half the notes written down because of being so tired. Back then, I don't mind giving my age. I'm 55. So back then, there wasn't the equipment or magnification or anything really to help. What I was given was a large print diary, which I still was not able to see. But anyway, I went to high school, did my GCSEs. They were able to do them in large print. I got 15 minutes extra for each exam, which wasn't really a lot of extra time. After that, I went to the technical college, did home economics for family and community care, and it was a 2-year course. When I left the tech, I applied for a job in a day centre as a daycare worker. Couldn't believe I got the job. When you were trying to fill out the interview, you know, I would have always wrote down, you know, my sight problems and that, thinking I'll not have a chance of getting the job or whatever, but I did. So after a while in the day centre, there was the sensory support team came and used some of our rooms as offices in there, and one of them actually ended up being my sensory support worker. I used to refer clients to her, and then I ended up being one of her clients. And she would have went on and on at me, you know, Debbie, you should really apply for a guide dog. And I said, no, I'm not ready. I don't feel I'm at that stage yet. I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. I love dogs. I've always had dogs. But to me, I just wasn't ready to commit, because I have always tried to be so independent, pig-headed. My mum used to say I was. But anyway, my eyesight deteriorated more. I ended up having to leave the day centre. This person still was my sensory support worker. I can remember one day walking down to go to the town, and there was a road sign on the middle of the footpath, and I didn't see it, and I fell over the top of it. And I don't know whether it was embarrassment, frustration, what, but it clicked. It's time for me to have a guide dog. Because I wasn't going out and about as much as what I would have been doing. So I was really starting to lose a bit of my independence. I would never have thought of going on the train to Belfast on my own because I didn't know the city. I was scared of getting lost. I was scared of getting knocked down. I was scared of just walking into people and different things. So I rang my sensory support worker and I said to her, I think it's time for me to apply for a guide dog. Well, I had no sooner the words out of my mouth, she slammed the phone down. She was away to phone Steve Andrews for my long cane training. So I did my cane training, and during that I had mobility officer from Guide Dogs come down and spoke to me about guide dogs and, you know, what I myself, you know, felt that a guide dog, you know, for me would be more important and whatever. And I said, well, you know, I'm starting to now really not go out as much, not meet up with people, not, you know, just not being unsociable, but just, I think the fear, I had a lot of fear there. So I was extremely, very, very lucky. Within a matter of months, Guide Dogs in Belfast got in touch with me and said they were coming down with 2 dogs. And I thought, wow, right? So the first dog they tried me with was Friz. And I would be quite a fast walker. And Friz is quite a speedy wee woman. And they come out with Friz a couple of times just to go for short walks with her. And they said, with some good news for you, how would you like to train with Friz as for your guide dog? So I was so over the moon. So I really did not expect the work mentally, not the physical work, but mentally tired. For 5 weeks, I trained from home. I know sometimes people would go to a hotel maybe for a couple of weeks, but they were able to train me from home, which was great, because it meant I was going around my own town. And it is a lot of the information to take in, because you're talking about straight lines and, you know, your footing, you know, has to be in the right position when you get to the curb. And, you know, and each evening I was just absolutely exhausted, just mentally exhausted. And but after the 5 weeks, they decided then it was time for me to go out on my final walk to see whether Friz and I passed. Friz would pass as a guide dog for me. So there was some of the guide dog staff come down, and my GDMI, who was in training at the time, and the person, the GDMI that was training him came as well, and the guy who was in charge at guide dogs as well came and all. So there was 4 of them I knew were behind me, and that was the hardest walk I ever did in my life, because you knew you were being watched every step of the way, every crossing. You're keeping your lines, which is, straight to the curb or left to the curb, or, and always reassuring your guide dog, when she crossed the road and, did a command, did it perfectly, you always reassured, told her well done, give her a ruffle, and, because at the end of the day, Friz was only 18 months at that time, which was, it's pretty young. And it's mentally tiring for them as much as it is for you. But I can remember we have a double road in the middle of the town where traffic comes down one way, and there's an island, and there's traffic, there's like a wee mini roundabout, and there's traffic comes 2 ways round that, and it's a really busy area. And I was always told that, if a car stopped to let you cross, you had to wave the car on. You couldn't cross over, in front of the car. So anyway, when we were coming back along that way, we got across to the island, and the traffic was continually coming down, and these 4 people from guide dogs were standing, and I kept waving the cars on because some of them were stopping, and I thought, I'm never going to get across this road. And this guy in a lorry, he stopped, and I've been trying to wave him on, and he shouted, "You're all right, you can go on across, there's nothing coming." I says, "I'm not allowed." So anyway, he jumped out of the lorry and came over and took me by the arm and walked Friz and me across the road. And I thought, oh dear Lord, I have failed this. I have definitely failed this. And the 4 people from guide dogs were killing themselves laughing because they knew the predicament I was in. But when we got home, they came in and they told me that we had passed with flying colours. But since I got Friz, she has changed my life, totally changed my outlook on life. I will go on a train, a bus. I will go anywhere with Friz because I feel so confident. I've got my confidence back. I'm so reassured that, you know, Friz is looking out for me. Even though it's like crossing roads and things, it's like you make the decision at the end of the day to cross the road or not. Your guide dog is trained that if there is a car coming down, your guide dog should turn and come back to the footpath. And I remember the first day when they did that with me in training, like this car, like they knew what they were doing. They were coming down and I had to start walking across the road, and I thought, what if their brakes fail? What, you know? I was so scared that day, but Friz turned me right round, got me back to the curb. But with having Friz, I have met so many new people, made so many new friends, taken up new hobbies. I got involved with the blind tennis up at Windsor, which Andrea is part of as well. And I have met such a group of lovely people. And even when I'm out with Friz, you know, people will stop and talk to you and they'll ask you questions, which I love because I feel that I'm helping to educate other people that really don't know anything about guide dogs, or, you know, I'm able to give them information. You know, if somebody reaches out to pat Friz and I'm walking with the harness up, and I will stop sometimes now if I have the time, and I will drop the harness and say, you know, when you're walking with a guide dog, or anybody is walking with a guide dog with the harness up, you shouldn't distract the owner, or more importantly, the guide dog, because she or he is concentrating on keeping me safe from walking into obstacles or people or whatever. So, you know, you have the information. So, you know, it's good for you as a person to pass that on to other people, especially kids. I love talking to kids about it because it gives them an understanding as well. And I can remember a child saying to their mum, "Mum, that's a dog that helps that girl that can't see," which I thought was absolutely amazing for that child. And like, I would say she was about 7 or 8, you know, which was amazing. But no, as I say, my life has really totally changed, you know, going places. I go to hotels, take Friz. She can come into restaurants, cafes. She loves the train. She loves traveling in going places. My aunt and we would go over to maybe Antrim, walk in the castle gardens. I would give her a free run. She loves a free run, so she does. Mud puddles, big into mud puddles. So she goes into them and rolls. She did this one day in Antrim, and the colour of Friz totally changed. I had to call into the charity shop and buy a towel to clean her. But I take her in the train down to Portrush to the beach, which she loves it. She's not a swimmer. She would never go out of her depth. She will go out, up to nearly the top of her legs or that, and runs in and out and rolls in the sand. But she's such a happy person. Like, I treat her as a person. Some days I'm talking away to her as if she is human. But it's amazing how clever they are, and we have to thank the puppy walkers, puppy trainers as well. The job that they do to get them to the stage where they go to guide dogs to do their big dog training. Like, it's amazing, the people that give up their own time, devote their lives to doing that, and they really have to be admired. And I don't think they're given enough credit. I really don't. But the staff at Guide Dogs are fantastic, even though you have to ring England to get to Belfast, but that's another thing. The staff, I wasn't well for a while there, and Friz had to go into boarding for 4 or 5 weeks. And I missed her so much. So I did. And when she came back, she was so excited to see me, and I cried when I seen her. But, she is such a character, and I think they all have their own personalities. Each of them have their own wee quirks. Like, Friz loves posing. She is a poser. Loves to get her photo taken, loves attention, hates shopping. If I go into a shop and start looking at clothes, get the magnifier out and whatnot, the next thing, Friz's head's between my legs. She's had it. That's enough. One out. Not too fussed on the rain neither. So she's not. She will try and get you to go into most coffee shops, even though you don't want to. But she's very fond of Poundland in Antrim. When I go into the Castle Mall there, Friz heads straight to Poundland, to the dog aisle, because there's usually wee bits of dog food has been maybe spilt from bags or whatever, and she knows, she hoovers it up. So one smart cookie. But she is on a diet at the minute. she had put on a wee bit of weight during the lockdown because I had to shield, and it was very hard to get Friz, to get somebody to take Friz out for me. So she's doing very well on her diet. She doesn't get any tidbits or treats or anything. And, I would use South Antrim Community Rural Transport. And when Friz sees the bus, she just gets so excited because the staff, the drivers are all mad about her. And they'll say to me, when does she retire? What age do they retire at? I says, look, she's a long way to go yet, because they're already fighting over who wants to have her, who is going to take her when she retires. And I said, she's only 5. So, no, she's an amazing dog. Like all guide dogs, they do a wonderful job in keeping us safe. I go out, and it's a pleasure to go out now because, you do a route with Friz, and the next time she will, I don't have to think about the route because she has it stored in that wee computer in her head, which is amazing. How they do remember, all the different places to go, but it's no, I really, for anybody that is thinking about getting a guide dog, don't wait as long as I waited, because I waited far too long. I could have had the life back then that I've got now, without having the struggles sometimes I had. I would have, I would have fretted about going to somewhere where I wasn't sure of. Steps also would have been a big issue for me because, I wouldn't have been able to see the step going down or up or whatever, whereas now with Friz, I can, feel the step her going down, and I know then it's the step we're going down. So no, I really, for anybody that does, have poor eyesight, any sort of eye problems or whatever, guide dogs is the way to go because they are amazing. Staff are amazing. And you only, as I say, you only have to give them a ring and they will do literally anything for you to help you. and talk you through any wee issues you have. One issue I did have when I was going to tennis was when I got up to Great Victoria Station, Friz wouldn't let me go to the disabled toilet. And that was a bit of a problem because that was the only toilet that I could go to there. So I had to then get the bus and go up to Windsor Tennis Club. When we got up there, she wouldn't go into the toilet up there neither. I had to get somebody to hold her while I went in. So I rang my GVMI and he actually met me in Belfast and he got the issue sorted out. She was just been a wee bit stubborn.
Having a wee moment.
He was having a wee moment.
Yes.
But no, you guys at Guide Dogs are amazing.
I'll need to pass your nice feedback on to the team in Belfast, Debbie. I will do.
You really.
But yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Debbie. That was really, really inspiring. And I think it would encourage anybody that is thinking about getting a guide dog to, like you say, pick up the phone and make that first step, which I think for some people, that is the hardest part of knowing when it's time to have a guide dog. You know, when is the cane not good enough for me now? I'm not getting my independence. So no, thank you so much for that talk, and thank you very much, Emma, for sharing some of the services that guide dogs can offer to those living in Northern Ireland. That was a great speech. Thank you. Has anybody got any questions for either Debbie or, I know the time's just gone past 8, but has anyone got any questions or anything like that you'd like to know?
Debbie, I thought that was the most phenomenal, honestly, the most beautifully told story about Friz and your experience and your journey. It was so amazing. And I remember Andrea telling me once that I don't know if it was Debbie, her guide dog, or her previous guide dog, but one of them actually pushed her out of the road when she thought that a car was going to hit her. I mean, those dogs are phenomenal, and just beautiful that your life has changed so much.
Yeah.
And I know Cecilia is in the process of getting a dog. I mean, it's so
fantastic.
Yeah. That was inspirational, and Emma and I think that Friz is so beautiful. But both of your stories were amazing. Thank you.
Thanks,
Emma. Thanks, Debbie. Thank you very much, folks.
Can I just say that there's no comparison between the cane and a guide dog. With the cane, I hate the cane.
So do I.
Yes.
My nemesis.
Yep. I don't have the same confidence because I'm the one that's in charge of it, where Friz is kind of looking out for me, whereas I'm the cane is like, you're in charge of it, you know. So no, I don't like it.
Brilliant.
No, it's definitely my nemesis, that Ken.
Yep.
We're not friends. We're not friends.
No, we're not.
We're not friends. But Kim, yes, it was Debbie. Debbie's my 4th dog, and all my girls before Debbie were full labs. She's my first retriever cross lab, and she's stubborn and all this sort of stuff, which does come in handy because we. I mean, to think that I would be crossing roads like the West Link to walk from town to Divis, and from Divis back into town towards, and then go into the Crescent Arts Centre and all this, you know, I mean, they're quite big walks. And they're, you know, several crossings. And what actually happened, I don't know if it was an electric car or what happened, but I we were standing on a curb and that's a set of lights. And what actually happened was the light was green. So I asked Debbie to go forward. And she went forward, and the next thing she shoved my legs backwards because the car hadn't stopped. And it was one of those electric ones, I think. And she shoved my legs backwards and because where Debbie was saying about Friz turns you around and goes back to the club. Friz is obviously, you know, Debbie was trained sort of before Friz, so some of the training is different. So Debbie just came across me and pushed me backwards, back up on. And it's really amazing, you know, what they do. I mean, I can't even leave the house unless I've got her, you know. And like Debbie, you know, I would go on trains, buses. Debbie's not great with planes, but I mean, she'll go on them. And just wanted to quickly say, Emma was mentioning about fundraising and stuff earlier on. My Debbie is actually what they call a named pup. And her story basically is that she was named after somebody who was killed on the 12th of July parades. And basically the family decided because her favorite charity was guide dogs, the family decided that they wanted to name a pup after their daughter, and that's how Debbie got her name. So it's amazing what you can do to fundraise. So yeah, if anyone wants a guide dog, go for it. Because I've had four, and they've all been amazing. Totally.
I know Andrea used to shout, "Come on, Debbie," up at the tennis now, saying, I'm coming.
Oh, that is just so funny, isn't it?
Walk on, Debbie, walk on. I'm walking.
And they are. We talk to our pups all the time, always. I'll say to her, "Where are we going to go today? What are we going to do?" And always talking to her, and sort of, "Are you all right, girl?" and all this sort of stuff, and they always get little pet names, and after they're like your babies, they really are.
Half 10 at night, Friz will nudge me to go for a busy. When she comes in, she goes up the stairs and into her nighttime bed. And that's her for the night.
Bless her wee heart. But yeah, my Debbie is nearly 9 and she's still such a baby.
Yeah. But wow. I mean, personalities, but thank you so much. And thank you as well. So beautiful.
You are so welcome.
No problem.
That was brilliant. Before we go, just a few things. If any of you are not registered with Retina UK, upon registration, you will be added to our database to receive information for next Belfast meetings and any other kind of information you'd like to opt in for, like our Look Forward magazine, which goes out 3 times a year.
Anyway.
Also our e-bulletin as well, which goes out sort of every month, apart from a Look Forward magazine. We also have a helpline as well. If anybody has any queries regarding sort of sight loss, inherited sight loss, and you can call our helpline as well, which is 0300 111 4000. We've obviously got our website, which is www.retinauk.org.uk. We've got lots of research news on their upcoming events. Unfortunately, we've got nothing coming up in Ireland, but we do have Northern Ireland, but we do have our annual general conference, which is going to be held in Birmingham this year, which is on the 9th of July. If anybody is over and would be interested in coming along to that. And also at the moment, we've got a sight loss survey, which is currently running until the 27th of April, I believe it is. So if you are interested in filling that in regarding your sight loss, that would help us improve our support services.
What format is that in? Large print?
It's in, it can come in large print. You can also do it via SurveyMonkey, which is online, or if you would like to call our office, somebody, you'll be able to book in a slot where someone will be able to go through it with you. So there are paper copies, large print copies, an online version, or someone can help you fill it in. And what I will do is I will ping that information to you in the follow-up email, which will go out after this meeting, that will include the link to the YouTube video once it's uploaded. So if there is any other queries that you want to know or would like to know from Retina UK, you can actually call the office, and their number is 01280 821 334, and that will actually be in the email as well. So there's lots of things you can find out, lots of events, research news, podcasts. There'll also be links to webinars that we do every month as well, on all sorts of different subjects. We've had research professors talk about all sorts of research and gene therapies. We've had one on Charles Bonnet syndrome. We've had one from British Blind Sport. We've got a tech one coming up, I believe, in May. So again, jump on our website. It will be under news and events. So, and you will be able to see what webinars are coming up over the next 3 months. So just in case you're interested, then you can register your details, and you will again receive a Zoom link, information and invite. So there's lots going on, but like I say, any queries, you can contact me as well. My information will be at the bottom of the email, or you can contact us through info@retinauk.org.uk, and that message will come back to me as well. So, but I thank everybody for attending our very first Belfast meeting. Thanks to Emma and Debbie, and also Kim, who is our brand new facilitator, who's come on board as a volunteer for Retina UK. So yes, very, very much looking forward to working with Kim on future meetings, and one day meeting you all at our first face-to-face meeting. It will give me a chance to fly over to Belfast to meet you all in person. I've never been to Northern Ireland, so it will be a lovely trip.
That'll be a good excuse for you to come over.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, no, very, very much looking forward to it. This is a dream job that's got me to out and about. Like I say, my confidence has not always been that great with sight loss. So to get out and meet wonderful and inspirational people like everybody who are living with sight loss is it's been quite a dream. So yes, it'd be looking forward to come over to Belfast
and meet the dogs.
And meet the dogs. Yes. Well, I will be bringing my wife Caroline, and we won't get any work done because she will just want to be playing with them all the time. So
they love that.
Yeah, taking for walkies and stuff like that.
Love that.
So
I know there's quite a lot of people with retina pigmentosa and so on, but would you happen to know if there are people with retinoblastoma?
I can certainly find out for you. Yeah, if you want to if you're okay to pass your details to Kim, and you're happy for me to, I can pass that on to. We've got a lovely research lady at Retina UK called Kate, and she will be able to answer any questions regarding retinal dystrophies. So yeah, please pass on your details to Kim, and I can get any questions you have regarding that condition, and I'll get some information back to you as soon as I can.
It's just quite rare because it's obviously from a cancer, and it's not many people would have survived that. So it'd just be interesting to see who. I know a couple of people over here, but it would just be interesting to see how many have actually subscribed. are on the Retina UK register.
Yeah, and if there are any kind of what kind of the stats are and everything across the UK, and whether there is any research going on about it or anything like that, no, I can certainly find that out for you. That's not a problem.
Okay, cool.
Excellent. Has anybody else
Thanks,
got
Mark.
any
Thanks
final
again, everyone.
questions?
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks. Thanks.
Again.
Oh, sorry. Who's that? Was that Jack that was trying to talk there? Sorry.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say thank you, Mark.
No worries. No, it's fine.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Emma, and Kim, of course, and the rest of you, of course.
It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it's really nice to meet everyone virtually. I'll hopefully get over at some point as well.
Yes, definitely.
That'll be wonderful.
Be lovely to see.
Okay, good night, everyone.
When the weather warms up, we'll come over. We'll plan a face-to-face meeting.
Excuse me.
So, but thank you very, very much, everyone, for
thank you.
Meeting.
No
And again, thanks, Debbie.
Thank you, and take care, everybody.
Everyone, have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you have enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions, queries, or wish to leave any feedback, then please leave it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can send your inquiries to info@retinauk.org.uk. Contact us via the telephone on 01280 821 334 or call our helpline on 0300 111 4000, which is open Monday to Friday 9:30 AM to 9:30 PM. If you would like to know more about our local peer groups, when your next meeting will be held, or if you wish to get involved in creating your own group, or would like to know more about our services that Retina UK provides, then please visit our information and support page on our website www.retinauk.org.uk and navigate to our local peer group page. Thanks again for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.